Hi you all. First of all, thank you for your attention on this video. My name is Opal Jha. I'm 23 years old. I'm a student here at Texas Tech and a server at the local pool hall. In this video, I'm gonna hypothetically be talking about a borderless system. A hypothetical borderless system. This is essentially a situation in which political borders do not exist. So hypothetically, somebody could freely move somewhere, do commerce, expand their business without having to go through an immigration process or having to have a visa or anything like that. What we know about why people relocate from one area to another is because that they're usually caused by an instability in money, resources, or safety. An immigration like this can be exemplified by last year's Northern Triangle exodus, during which over 500,000 people came to our country's southern border from the countries of Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador to escape cartel violence. Amelia Cheatham and Diana Roy of the Council of Foreign Relations say that the driving factors from this region included a lack of economic opportunity, environmental challenges, and chronic violence. These are people who are fleeing a cartel-dominated region to get to a baseline of peaceful living. These are people who still believe in that dream of prosperity that our beautiful land has to offer, and they were coming to our border in caravans. So a year before, in 2021, the Biden administration had actually come up with a $4 billion root causes strategy to address what's happening in that area. According to the Hope Border Institute, this is essentially a system where our government would go to local organizations and communities and support their political interests and basically try to stabilize the region through administration. Since then, the Hope Border Institute has actually come out with a one-year assessment that has the number of the visa and financial sanctions that they have on each country, percentages of where all the money is going, and how many more visas they're granting to Central Americans, but they don't actually have any data of what was happening on the ground level. This year, the White House has come out with a document that goes a little bit more thoroughly into the specifics of what our government is doing in that region. This includes creating 90,000 more jobs, creating a public and private sector partnership. They had a lot of government training. This includes training for ethical workplace practices, and police training included looking out for domestic violence and stuff like that. School feeding programs, they raised a couple million to increase productivity and income of agriculture workers. And they protected civic space in the Summit of the Americas in Los Angeles. On a personal note, I'm from Houston, Texas, and Houston is an international capital of the world. We have a community of probably everybody over there, including a significant population from Honduras. I have one friend in particular who is from Honduras. He came to the United States, got deported, came back, and last year he got deported again. I still talk to him, and when I talk to him, he still says that he would find it worth it to try and come back again. Let's see if the medicine that our government is trying to put on that region changes that for him over time. I guess that's something that we'd have to look out for in the years to come. Hypothetically though, in a borderless system, there would be no government interference on the people trying to come in. And yeah, like a situation like this, like 500,000 people trying to come into the country at once sounds a little bit chaotic, but it wouldn't even be the first or the last time a migration of this size or bigger has happened in our human histories, imaginary or not. But one thing to think about with an influx like this into an area is how would a place's culture or reputation evolve? This is a lot of people coming in all at once. Like I said, I'm from Houston, Texas, and we have a pretty significant Hispanic population over there. I'm not Hispanic, but for years I would work at a cologne stand in the mall, and I started to pick up Spanish, and I started to attract more people to my stand. And I realized the more I would pick up, the more it would benefit me as a salesperson. I'm thinking that In a more multicultural, like a culturally diverse society, we would probably have more multilingual people, and foreigners would probably be a bigger contribution into the economy of a place or a society or a civilization or a territory. Another classic example of an ethnically and culturally diverse civilization would be the Moorish period in Andalusia, southern Spain. This is when Muslim, Christian, Jewish people came together and famously flourished economically with their infrastructure and education system by bringing together what they had to the table. There are arguments that immigration would tank the economy. For example, in 2016, George J. Borjas wrote for Politico magazine, because a disproportionate percentage of immigrants have few skills, it is low-skilled American workers, including many blacks and Hispanics, who have suffered most from this wage dip. He was referring to the cheaper wages paid to immigrants as the wage dip. His article basically explains the protectionist view that adding more people into a labor market would create competition amongst people to get jobs, and companies will hire whoever will accept the cheapest wages for the labor that has to be done. So ultimately, the standard of living for Americans would go down because immigrants were accepting cheaper wages. That was his view. In 2019, an American economist on the Council of Foreign Relations, Kimberly, said that our economy can actually be improved with immigration. She said that immigrants create a disproportionate number of businesses, and they add to a highly educated population that contribute in areas like STEM, where we as Americans have been notoriously lacking. Even less skilled immigrants have been picking up the slack in areas like elder care and agriculture. These are just the immigrants who are being let in. There are potentially so many more people who could be coming into our country and adding to our prosperity as a nation. In a hypothetical borderless system, hundreds of thousands of people could be coming in and fueling competition in their respective fields and advancing our technologies, and we could be expanding our businesses to less busy markets all over the world. One thing that I can't neglect about a situation like this is our safety. We have to consider our nature as humans with our cultures and our patriotisms and how we would even deal in a situation like this. Historically, we've fought wars to preserve our histories and our identities, and this is the main reason that my borderless system is only hypothetical. Erin Dwinell is a senior research associate at the Border Security and Immigration Center at the Heritage Foundation, and earlier this year she wrote an article that shows us the dark sides of having borders that can just be crossed without government intervention. What caught me about her article was her data on how many illegal immigrants were arrested in 2022 and what they were arrested for. This included 1,142 people for assault, battery, domestic violence, 1,614 for DUI, and 2,239 for drug possession or trafficking. For an HBS, a hypothetical borderless system, to work, a unified police force needs to be in place to regulate what is and isn't allowed in an area, so that businesses that might not always be welcome, such as drug dealing or sex work, can stay in their respective territories. Maybe there can be like a regional judicial system in place so that if there's any disputes or anything, those can be settled. Ultimately, I think the best thing that we can do is just keep a do as Romans do mindset to respect the places that we go to, and just teach people to see similarities beyond differences and to appreciate both, because we wouldn't bond without similarities and we wouldn't grow without differences. According to this year's World Bank's World Development Report, mobility is a fundamentally human activity, and it has been supporting the economic and social progress of humanity ever since Homo sapiens first left the Turkana Valley. Even if there is no push factor, there will always be a traveler in any society born with a fire for expanding their worldview. It is a shame that our actions as humans have perpetuated so much fear that we've created these intricate systems that deny that traveler or asylum seeker, especially because opening up this human experience for all the opportunity it holds is an unalienable human right. It is a complicated day and age, and there is no right answer on this issue, but I felt that exploring a situation in which man-made borders were removed and having that discussion can give us a little bit of insight into how we are as human beings, as a species, and maybe help find a little solution to the immigration systems that we have right now. So feel free to add to the conversation. This is just what my version of an HBS looks like, based off of my experiences in this lifetime. What does yours look like? Is there anything that you think I missed? Is my whole thought experiment deeply flawed? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much again, and please share this if you thought it was interesting. Have a great rest of your day.